to a theater, look like how you go to movie theaters. In olden times, people used to go to just theaters. Okay, and stage play people used to come and perform. Dramas or theater is very similar to. आप में से किसी ने कभी नुक्कड़ नाटक देखा? Street plays, जिसमें से क्लैप करके परफॉर्म करते हैं, छोटा सा स्किट होता है, उसमें कोई फिर उसका एक समरी होता है. कभी देखा है? किसी ने नुक्कड़ नाटक नहीं देखा हमारे बीच? ओके, वी शुड वॉच नुक्कड़ नाटक. एवरीवन, मैं एक अच्छा सा नुक्कड़ नाटक ढूंढ के आपको भेजूंगी. मुंबई में बहुत होते भी है नुक्कड़ नाटक. सो बेसिकली द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ दैट इज इट्स कॉल्ड ए स्ट्रीट प्ले, राइट? उसको स्ट्रीट पे पीपल परफॉर्म इट. All the actors and everybody will come from amongst yourself. आप लोग खड़े होगे crowd में, जैसे चौराहे पे एक भीड़ नहीं जमा होती, exactly like that. And that concept, they used to be performed under a banyan tree. That is how it was originally meant. And that is how people used to be entertained in India back then. A lot of times these theaters that used to happen in India used to recreate our scriptures, which used to be, let's say in the Punjab region, they recreate a lot of things from Gurbani and their texts, and they recreate a lot of information about the gurus that have lived of Sikhism, right? Similarly, we have it for Hinduism, Islam, for all religions. You have basically, in every religious scripture, there is a skit that happens, right? There is a dialogue with either God or with somebody who's looked at as God. Let's say, for example, these days on TV, do any of your parents watch Sai Baba, the show that comes on TV? Yeah. So usme that's in the form of a skit. That's more of theater than it is of a show. Okay? That we know that someone is playing the role of Sai Baba. That person isn't Sai Baba himself. Right? Someone's playing that role, someone's playing that character, somebody has taken that up. That role can be applied to every other show. I don't know a lot about the TV serials that are going on right now, but if you have any examples, so basically, what happens is somebody has a character. Let's say if I have to play an evil character, I don't have to be evil. I'll just play that character, right? Like there used to be a really famous show called Nagin. So the person who was playing a Nagin wasn't essentially a snake. I mean, she could be, but she wasn't, right? She was just playing that role. Similarly, we have some roles, we have a plot. Jo ho raha hai story mein, that's a plot. So we've discussed all of that. Plot kya hota hai, roles kya hote hain, characters kya hote hain. Ye sab milke aate hain, so kya banta hai? Ek drama banta hai. ठीक है, और उसके ढेर सारे जॉनर्स होते हैं. ट्रेजेडी होता है बहुत फेमस, और कॉमेडी होता है उसका एग्जैक्ट ऑपोजिट. ओके, कॉमेडी में आपको बहुत हंसी आएगी जिन लोगों को आप देख रहे हो उस पर. ट्रेजेडी में जिनको आप देख रहे हो इनको देख के आपको लगेगा कि व्हाई इज दिस हैपनिंग, व्हाई इज सच अ बैड थिंग हैपनिंग टू दिस पर्सन. ओके, दैट इज व्हाट अ ट्रेजेडी विल इन्वोक. Okay, now today we are going to start with something called modern theater. Now when I say modern, I don't mean modern how we see modern. The movie that came out yesterday, yeah, that's the latest movie. When I say modern in these terms, modern is for the last century. मतलब जब से आप born हुए हो तब से का theater, या तब से थोड़े से पहले का theater. Those 25, 30, sometimes even 50 years. That is what we would call modern theater. Okay. All right, so we'll read through this and then we'll try and understand. Oh, we had also decided that we will read a little bit of Shakespeare in today's class. But I feel like jo aapko act hai, that's quite a difficult act, Midsummer Night's Dream ka, because that's the closing act, right? So let's finish the history of theater, history of drama. And then if we have time, then we'll come to Shakespeare. Otherwise, we'll avoid it. And we will just see thoda bahut us play ke bare mein kya hai. Okay. All right. Let's start by reading. Who wants to read today? Kiska man hai aaj read karne ka? Okay, Muskan wants to read. Lovely. So we'll start here, Muskan. Modern theatre. So we'll start. Okay.
Modern drama theatre. The modern theatre, with its picture frame stage, its actress talking female parts, its movable scenery designed to create a visual image of the local of its skin, and its artificial light was developed during the Restoration period. There is clear influence of France on theater, the audience, and the themes. The drama
We'll
of
stop here, Muskan. Isko pehle samjhenge. Okay. So modern theater, now see, when they talk about modern theater, they make something so old, but that's modern by categorization. Okay. आपको बहुत बार इंग्लिश में जब आप आगे चल के पढ़ोगे, अभी 11th 12th में जो आपके चैप्टर्स आएंगे ना, उसमें जो टर्म होगा उसका रीजन जो देने का होगा वो थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट होगा हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग से. Okay, so here modern is not modern how we call modern. This is modern theater because it's so different from the kind of theater that was happening right before this. Let's say 19th century, early 19th century जो इन्होंने यहाँ पे mention किया है, उसका जो theater जिसके बारे में हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे, that was very different. Okay, the kind of people who were writing were very different. Let's see the things that are different here. Okay. थिएटर विद इट्स पिक्चर फ्रेम स्टेज, तो उसमें हमने क्या पढ़ा था कि कोई भी लॉबी नहीं थी, राइट? ऑल द एक्टर्स वर विजिबल टू यू, राइट? उसमें देयर वाज नो साइड प्लेस फॉर अ एक्टर टू एंटर. द स्टेज वाज इन फ्रंट ऑफ द एंटायर ऑडियंस एंड दैट वाज इट, राइट? इन दिस देयर वाज अ पिक्चर फ्रेम, जैसे होता है ना, जैसे पिक्चर को हम फ्रेम में लगाते हैं, वैसे एक फ्रेम था स्टेज के आसपास. दैट फ्रेम itself, I tell you, it gives a lot of space for actors to stand, for props to be kept. So उससे बहुत डिफरेंस आ जाता है जो आपको स्टेज पे दिख रहा है उससे. Okay, its actress is taking female parts. Now this is another very interesting thing. इससे पहले, अभी से पहले तक जितना भी थिएटर हो रहा था, उसमें जो फीमेल कैरेक्टर्स थे उनके रोल भी मेन प्ले करते थे. कोई भी women never used to come and perform on stage. Okay, so that was very different. Or they used to make the makeup and everything used to be a female's makeup, so you could see and tell ki, okay, he's playing the role of a female, but that used to be done by male actors only. अभी modern theater से क्या होता है कि females are playing their own roles. Okay, female parts जो है वो women ही play कर रहे हैं. It's movable scenery designed to create a visual image of the locale of each scene. Locale क्या होता है? आसपास का what we call माहौल, उसको आप बोल सकते हो. ठीक है? So let's say आपने स्कूल में, अगर किसी स्कूल के एनुअल फंक्शन में देखा होगा, या स्कूल में अगर कोई आपने स्किट परफॉर्म की होगी, what happens is छोटे बहुत प्रॉप्स होते हैं, like a tree, कोई ट्री बन के खड़ा होगा या एक ट्री बना होगा, राइट? इसमें जो मूवेबल सीनरी है वो क्या है? समटाइम्स देयर इज अ स्क्रीन, पर्दा जैसे होता है ना. आप कभी पासपोर्ट साइज फोटो खिंचाने गए, उसमें कैसे पर्दा लगाते हैं ना वो पीछे, दे हैव डिफरेंट पर्दास आल्सो. हैव यू सीन दैट? किसी में ऐसे ट्रीज बने होते हैं, किसी में कुछ वेरी प्रिटी वंस आल्सो दे हैव. So that's the kind of scenery that they used to put. They used to remove it also, used to change the scenery. So what will happen if I have a curtain behind me that is of a starry night, stars bane, raat ka bana hua. So immediately you will know, right? Wherever I'm sitting, wahan pe raat ho rahi hai, right? I don't have to tell you, oh my god, it's so late in the night. No, I don't have to say that dialogue. You will see, look at my background, you'll be able to find out that okay, wherever she's sitting, it's night time. And if I remove that, let's say, you see the light that comes from the corner of my room, right? That's a bright yellow sun rays type light, right? So if that is the sort of scene or stage that is set up, then it shows ki morning ka theme. Okay, so ye scenery jo thi, the scenery now, because technology अच्छी हो रही थी, है ना? It was, they could make more lights of different colors, so they were using that for their stage. Okay, they have come to that. Then artificial light was developed during the restoration period. Restoration मैंने आपको बताया था, they were restoring the old classical things, right? So उस time पे, because technology और इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन के बारे में हमने पढ़ा है, राइट? इंडस्ट्रीज बन रही थी वहां पे, और तो वो तो हो ही रहा था साथ साथ में. सो ये सब चीजें क्या हो गई, और अच्छे से बन के आने लगी. सो और यू कैन एंजॉय थिएटर, यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड अ लिटिल बिट बेटर. ओके, there is clear influence of France in theater. Okay, France as a country, yes, France as a country, good. France as a country has had a lot of influence when it comes to fashion and theater. Okay, France वहाँ के लिए famous है. सो जो सोनेट शेक्सपियरियन सोनेट जो शेक्सपियर लिखते हैं उसको भी पहले वो ब्रिटेन में शुरू नहीं हुआ था, कहीं और से आया था, उसको अडेप्ट करके फिर शेक्सपियर ने जो बनाया वो शेक्सपियरियन सोनेट है। ठीक है। सो सिमिलरली बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें थी जो फ्रेंच थिएटर में दे वर वेरी नाइस, सो दे वर पिकिंग इट अप फ्रॉम द फ्रेंच थिएटर. ओके, एंड दैट इज व्हाई द फ्रेंच थिएटर हैड अ लॉट ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस. ओके, किस किस में इन्फ्लुएंस था? थिएटर में इन्फ्लुएंस था, ऑडियंस में इन्फ्लुएंस था, और थीम्स में इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे थे. ठीक है, ऑडियंस मतलब किस टाइप के लोग देख रहे हैं थिएटर. पहले क्या होता था, these theater that I told you, nukkad natak ki tarah, they used to be street pe, they used to be performed, right? So the common crowd that roams around in the streets was watching the theater. That was it. Now what happened, because it is inside a theater, you have to pay a lot of money. In those times people didn't want to pay that much money to watch something. Right now it's very common, I'm going to buy a ticket and only then I can go and watch the movie, right? But in those times that wasn't that common. They're like, if I'm just going to sit and watch something, why do I have to pay? That was not that common. So the audience was also influenced from France. Okay, the kind of people that used to go, richer people who used to go and watch theater there, were then coming and watching here. The people who were slightly more well off were then coming and paying for their tickets and watching theater. Okay. All right. Next paragraph. Who wants to read? I want different people to read today. Okay. We'll have Sneha and then we'll have Shahnaz. Go ahead, Sneha.
Didi, where we have stopped?
We'll start from this paragraph. Please, the drama of the earth.
The drama of the early 19th century was on the whole on the way to decline because of many causes. The theatre was home mainly to irregular,
irregular spectacle,
model on forces of a simple extreme reason can be founded in the monopoly held by the two houses, Convent Garden and Dairy Line, for the performance of serious drama. The audience, which was gathered in the 19th century theatre, was had not the intelligence or the imagination of the
Elizabethan audience. Yes.
Audience. The dangers in the 19th century theatre was that above all it unrelated to the life of the time. The changes in the structure of society had so modified the human personality itself that a new interpretation was essential.
Right. Very well read. A lot of difficult words, I know. We'll try and understand this. Okay. So now we are not talking about modern theater. Okay, remember that. We are talking about the 19th century में जो theater था वो कैसा था. पहले हम वो समझेंगे. So one thing that we need to know is the theater in the 19th century was dying. People were not watching theater as much, and it in general did not have that much importance. Okay. सो उसमें थोड़े बहुत जो उस टाइम पे पहले से चलता चला आ रहा था जैसे टाइप का थिएटर, वो तब लोगों को उतना मजा नहीं आ रहा था देखने में. ओके, एंड देयर वर पीपल हु वांटेड सम चेंज. आई विल टेल यू द मीनिंग ऑफ दैट. Okay, there were people who wanted some change. So different kinds of people, when what we'll see in the next paragraph, then came up. But let's first look at the kind of people, the reason why it was not growing and it was on decline. हमने incline और decline पहले भी पढ़ा था when we were doing the summit chapter, right? Incline means ऊपर जाना, decline means नीचे जाना. So if it is on the way to decline, that means वो कम हो रहा है, कम लोग देखने जा रहे हैं, popular नहीं है. Okay, so it was declining. Why was it declining? Theater was home. Home means वैसे type की चीजें हो रही थी वहाँ पे. Okay, let's say if I say Kurniv is home to a lot of good education, मतलब Kurniv में बहुत अच्छी पढ़ाई होती है. Okay, something is home to something means वहाँ पे वैसी चीजें होती है. Okay, understood? It's a good phrase, तो उसको समझेंगे, ठीक है? Mainly to irregular spectacle, melodrama and farce. Farce is a kind of comedy. बहुत ही farce means किसी की insult करके jokes बनाना. बहुत ही jokes at the cost of something. Like I make fun of someone and then I make you laugh. So let's say if somebody is on stage with me, I'm making fun of that person, they're making fun of me, or not very good level comedy. Okay, let's just understand that. All right. Irregular spectacle. Irregular means कोई भी चीज जो regular ना हो, वो तो irregular we understand, right? All of us know irregular. Regular means कोई चीज जो एक जैसी चलती है. Irregular उसका opposite जो एक जैसी ना चले. Okay, let's say these classes are regularly held on Thursdays. अगर हम लोग कोई भी दिन पे क्लास कर रहे होते तो that would have been irregular. Got it? Now let's understand spectacle. एक तो ये होता है spectacles. Okay, ये सबको पता है. Specs बोलते हैं ना इसको, आपके specs करके. असल में वो word spectacle है. Okay, or spectacles. Okay, and what this comes from is एक बहुत बड़ा सा scene अगर आपके सामने create हो जाए, so that would become a spectacle. Okay, that is where this spectacle comes from. Now I'm able to watch that spectacle. Okay, so कोई भी scene create हो जाए, जैसे Muskan and Shahnaz were fighting so much for that pen, it was a spectacle. क्या हो रहा था, हमारे सामने हमको दिख रहे थे वो लड़ते हुए. Okay, so irregular spectacle means कुछ भी हो रहा है, there's not much definition to what is happening on stage. In short, not very enjoyable for someone who's going to watch it. Okay, a simple external reason can be found in the monopoly held by two houses. Monopoly. Monopoly एक game भी होता है, and monopoly is basically उसके right किसी के पास में. Okay, mono as we know one होता है, right? हमने पहले भी समझा है, कई सारे words को break करके समझा है हमने. तो one इंसान के पास उसका पूरा का पूरा जो है control होता है. Okay, so I have monopoly over, let's say I have monopoly over Marine Drive. I can't have it, of course, but let's say if I say I have monopoly over Marine Drive, that means I own Marine Drive. I can do whatever I want on Marine Drive. I can shut down Marine Drive if I want to. Okay, that is the meaning of having a monopoly over something. So here what's happening is there were two houses. Houses means घर जैसे हम समझते हैं वो नहीं. Houses means एक तरीके की companies इधर हम समझ सकते हैं. Okay, it was held by two houses. The Convent Garden and Drury Lane. ये दो बहुत famous companies थी theatre की. They had the monopoly. They owned it. So whatever they wanted to produce was getting produced. Whatever they didn't like, that was not getting produced. Okay. For the performance of serious drama. बाकी ये जो घर पे जो ऐसे irregular spectacle वाला और जो ऐसे low quality का हो रहा था, that was happening however they wanted. But serious drama of people actually wearing good costumes, putting in effort, preparation, then performing, that उसकी monopoly in these two houses के पास थी. Okay, the audience which gathered to the 19th century theatre had not the intelligence or the imagination of the Elizabethan audience. इससे पहले when we were reading about the Elizabethan era, right? When Shakespeare was writing, that was the Elizabethan era. And it's said that in the Elizabethan era, because Queen Elizabeth herself, she was very interested in theatre, in poetry, right? So if I'm a very good poet, I get to become an important person in the Elizabethan era. Okay, for example, let's say in today's age, you could compare it to holding a very important position in society. Let's take the example of Tarak Mehta. All of you guys know about Tarak Mehta ka Ulta Chashma? Everybody knows it. Okay, now if I'm doing something good for my society, let's say if I stay there in Gokul Dham, if I'm doing something good for the society, then what will I do? What will happen? Maybe Bide, the secretary, will come and appreciate me, right? Or maybe let's say Bide is the secretary for a reason, right? He has that post, he's an educated person, he wants good for all the people who are living there. Similarly, in Elizabethan age, if I wrote poetry, read plays, and understood art, I would become someone like Bide. Okay, I'd become an important figure in that society. Understood? ये समझा आपको? मैं थोड़ी इंपॉर्टेंस गेन कर लेती हूँ. I have more power. So there were more people who were leaning in towards art. Artistic imagination ज़्यादा था लोगों का, because that was being promoted. Okay, so they were intelligent in those terms about understanding art, and their imagination was wider. Yes, Muskan, you have a doubt?
No, Didi, I have an example.
Yes, please go ahead.
दी एक्चुअली अगर हम लोगों को जब अपने स्कूल में किसी फर्स्ट रैंक कहा जाता है तो सब लोग सारे सर टीचर आपको अप्रिशिएट करते हैं. दैट इज वन ऑफ द वे.
Yes, exactly. That's a great example. For example, if you get the first rank in your class, then the teacher will appreciate you, right? Maybe you'll get a certificate for that. There might be some award that's there, right? So something like that. Okay, good example. So, is chakkar mein what was happening was the danger in the, so there was in 19th century theater, as they're telling us, was in danger. Okay, not intelligent people were not going to watch it, and it was basically not a lot of people. If I'm not earning from the job of an actor, then I will not keep that job, right? If we don't have actors, if we don't have people who are writing plays, then there will be no plays. So that's what was happening. Okay, the danger in the 19th century theater was that above all, सबसे ज़्यादा बड़ा danger ये था. Okay, above all, it was unrelated to the life of the time. And this is a big, grave danger to any art. Art forms, let's say the kind of movies that are released these days. Let's take the example of Gully Boy. All of us can relate to Gully Boy, right? People living in Mumbai can relate to Gully Boy. Why? Because we know of people like Gully Boy who rap or who are interested in music like that, or who are pursuing creative careers in Mumbai. We know of competitions like the competition that Gully Boy went for, right? So we can relate to that movie. It makes sense. Let's say now, if I told you to watch, after watching Gully Boy, if I told you to go and watch Jodha Akbar, would you be able to relate to Jodha Akbar like you relate to Gully Boy? Not as much, right? I mean, it would make sense, but it's not the kind of life that I am living. So the plays that were being performed, they were unrelated to the life of that time. जैसे उन लोगों की lifestyle थी उस time पे, the plays were not mimicking that. Okay, so the people could not relate. Mimic करना मतलब किसी चीज को copy करना. Okay, किसी चीज को उसके जैसा करना. Like monkeys usually mimic humans. ऐसे टोपी गिरा दोगे तो monkey भी टोपी गिरा देगा. Right? आपने देखा सारे plays होते हैं. Perfect. The changes in the structure of society had so modified the human personality itself that a new interpretation was essential. Okay, people were changing, human behavior was changing. You know, your grandparents would always keep telling you, "Hamare zamane mein this was never there," right? Like people used to gather around, people used to talk to each other more. Let's say family functions were a bigger deal, you know. Nobody would miss a marriage in the family. It was a huge deal. But these days, it's not that important. So that's what they're talking about. Society was changing. So theater did not match the society that it was, you know, being portrayed in. Okay? All right, let's go to the next paragraph. Let's do this. I'm going to read this paragraph and quickly explain it because it has a lot of difficult words and it'll go easier if I do it this way. Okay? Ibsen is a very famous dramatist. Okay? And if you ever pursue literature, you will hear this name a lot. Let's keep it at that. So he's a great Norwegian dramatist. We don't need to know. Norway एक जगह का नाम है, तो वहां से जो लोग आते हैं उनको Norwegian dramatist बोलेंगे. ठीक है? So वो वहां के लिखने वाले, he was a dramatist and he dominates modern drama. The kind of plays that Ibsen, just like Shakespeare was dominating Elizabethan age, Ibsen is dominating modern drama. ठीक है? ये बहुत famous है इस जमाने के. Just like Salman Khan dominates action movies in today's time, right? If there's, or movies about policemen, let's say Dabang and the entire series. Now, when you think about a police officer, unless you have a member of your family in the police, for me, as soon as I think of police, my brain does go to some Dabang scene, right? Because Salman Khan has made those many movies about. So Salman Khan, let's say, is dominating that. Similarly, Ibsen and Shakespeare were dominating their own fields. Okay. He developed modernist, realist, social and psychological dramas. All four words are really difficult. All we need to understand is कि ड्रामा जो बहुत ही सिंपल था उन्होंने उसको थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड करके ऐसा बना दिया कि लोगों को इंटरेस्ट आए अब क्या होगा, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग नाउ, राइट. बहुत रियलिस्ट क्या होता है, बहुत आपकी लाइफ से सिमिलर. लेट्स से इफ देयर इज अ प्ले जिसमें कोई लड़की आती है, उसको भी अपने मम्मी, लड़की आती है, लड़का आता है, उसको भी अपनी मम्मी पापा से डांट पड़ रही है, पढ़ाई कर लो, we'll be able to relate, no? Because हमको हमेशा डांट पड़ती है, घर के काम कर लो, right? Help with the household chores. घर के काम are called household chores in English, okay? So help with the household chores. Somebody else is also getting yelled at in the play or the movie that I'm watching. I can relate because that happens to me too. Similarly, realism is like that. आपकी लाइफ से बहुत similar होता है, okay? And some of Ibsen's famous dramas are The Doll's House, Ghosts and an Enemy of the People. The Doll's House is a wonderful play. They are far more subtle and in stagecraft and profound in anything in the modern English theatre. Okay, तो इतनी ज़्यादा stage की decoration नहीं होती थी per se. If I want to show someone who is like me, उनका जो outfit होगा, उनकी costume वगैरह सब कुछ मेरे जैसे होगी ना. Normal jeans t-shirt would be okay, right? If you compare the kind of clothes that people are wearing in movies like Gully Boy to the kind of clothes that people are wearing in movies like Padmavat or Jodha Akbar, very different, no? There the costume is supposed to take you back to that era. Here the costume is supposed to look like the kind of clothes we wear. Okay? Those are the two different kinds of things. But it was only George Bernard Shaw, who's also very famous, who was deeply influenced and affected by Ibsen's innovative contributions. अब Ibsen तो नॉर्वे में लिख रहे थे, sorry, ब्रिटेन में नहीं लिख रहे थे. He was not a British person. Okay, we are discussing mainly about British drama. So George Bernard Shaw, he got very deeply influenced. उनको बहुत अच्छा लगा उनका theatre, right? And उनकी innovative जो creations थे. So then he was, he decided to use that in his place. Okay, George Bernard Shaw को ज्यादातर जगह पे आप GB Shaw लिखा हुआ देखोगे. Okay, nobody writes George Bernard Shaw, they mostly write GB Shaw. He alone understood the greatness of Ibsen, and he was determined that in his own plays, George Bernard Shaw was a famous playwright in Britain. He would also show this sort of similar ideas that were being portrayed by Ibsen. Okay, the responsibility of elevation of English drama to the brilliance of Norwegian drama fell with Oscar Wilde and G.B. Shaw, जिनका हमने पहले भी नाम सुना था. इन दोनों लोगों ने बहुत different टाइम के जो है वो ड्रामास को लेके आए 19th और 20th century. Okay, now we're going to stop this here. Okay, we're not going to go further ahead with this. We are going to understand all of this, what we are reading through this table. Okay, whatever we are reading there, वो आप यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ मिलेगा. So first we'll revise whatever we had done earlier. This will hardly take 5 minutes. And then we will come to more understandable, easy things about theatre that we need to. Okay? I know that's a lot of things. It's important, आपको वो सब पता हो. But it's important for those who want to study literature, क्योंकि आगे चल के उनको वो सब आएगा. Right? We want to understand this because we are English students in 11th standard. So let's take a look at this, understand this. Okay, हमने अभी तक ये सारे टाइप्स के पीरियड्स को पढ़ा. Okay, सबसे पहले मिडिएवल पीरियड आता है जो 11 to 15th सेंचुरी है. तब किंग हेनरी द 6th का रूल चल रहा था. ओके, सो उस टाइम पे क्या होते थे, मिस्ट्री प्लेस और मिरेकल प्लेस जो हमने फर्स्ट क्लास में पढ़ा था, साइकिल प्लेस, मोरालिटी प्लेस जो रिलीजन से रिलेटेड होते थे, और डायडैक्टिक प्लेस होते थे. ठीक है, ये उनके कुछ एग्जांपल्स हैं. रॉबिन हुड, लेट्स से, वाज अ प्ले ऑफ दैट टाइम. देन केम रेनेसांस. ठीक है, रेनेसांस में हमारी एलिजाबेथ जो थी वो रूल थी. इसको एलिजाबेथन एज भी बोलते हैं, जो कि 1600 to 1700 तक चलेंगी. ओके, यहाँ पे ट्रेजी कॉमेडी आया, यहाँ पे शेक्सपियर थे इस वाले उसमें. ओके, मेलिन के लिए आया, और रिवेंज प्लेज आया. रिवेंज पता है आप लोगों को क्या होता है, किसी चीज पे रिवेंज लेना? रिवेंज, Who said badla? Muskan said badla, right? Yes, perfect. Revenge means badla. Okay, so revenge plays में बदला ले रहा होगा कोई. Okay, so famous plays इस टाइम के क्या हो जाएंगे, फिर हमारे शेक्सपियर के प्लेज हो जाएंगे, जैसे कि रोमियो जूलियट हो गया, अ मिडसमर नाइट्स ड्रीम हो गया, और हेनरी द फोर्थ एक हिस्टोरिकल प्ले था शेक्सपियर का. और भी बहुत सारे ऑथर्स राइटर्स थे जो लिख रहे थे प्ले राइट्स, एंड बाकी उनके जो है फेमस प्लेज उनको भी लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पे. Okay, then comes the restoration period that I talked about. पुरानी चीजें were getting restored. इस टाइम पे जो फेमस थी चीजें वो इधर फिर से आएंगी एक बार, जो कि रेस्टोरेशन का नाम से आएगा. ओके, तो इस टाइम पे किसका रूल्स था? चार्ल्स द सेकंड. एलिजाबेथ और जेम्स द फर्स्ट का रूल चलता है रेनेसांस में, चार्ल्स द सेकंड का रूल चलता है यहाँ पे. यहाँ पे हीरोइक ड्रामा, पैथेटिक ड्रामा, रेस्टोरेशन कॉमेडी आता है. रेस्टोरेशन कॉमेडी कॉमेडी से ऐसे डिफरेंट है कि रेस्टोरेशन कॉमेडी थोड़ी सी रियल लाइफ से ज्यादा सिमिलर होती है, बस इतना अंतर है. ओके, हीरोइक ड्रामा इज कॉल्ड हीरोइक ड्रामा बिकॉज इज अ वेरी डोमिनेंट हीरो फिगर इन दैट ड्रामा. ओके, now इसका वे ऑफ द वर्ल्ड बाय विलियम कॉन्ग्रीव इज अ ग्रेट एग्जांपल ऑफ रेस्टोरेशन कॉमेडी. इसको हम एज एन एग्जांपल इधर भी ले सकते हैं. देन कम्स द विक्टोरियन पीरियड. ओके, यहाँ पे सिंपल है, क्वीन विक्टोरिया का रीन चल रहा था. इसी पीरियड में अगर आप देखें तो ब्रिटिश राज इंडिया में भी चल रहा था, राइट? क्वीन विक्टोरिया वाज द क्वीन हु वाज ruling Britain when Britain was ruling us. So this is that period. Okay, so all types of plays perform होते थे इस टाइम पे. एंड इसके कुछ प्लेज में अगर आप देखो ना, जैसे मैंने ये तो पढ़ा ही है, अ डॉल्स हाउस तो आई हैव रेड. इसमें क्या होता था, कोई ना कोई फैमिली मेंबर वुड बी इन इंडिया आल्सो एज एन ऑफिसर और फॉर बिजनेस, because Britain was ruling over India, and these plays were so similar to their lives that there was some family member, some cousin, brother, distant relative who was in India also. Okay, because so many people from Britain were in India at that time. All right, then comes the modern period, जो भी मॉडर्न प्लेस के बारे में हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे. ठीक है, मॉडर्न थिएटर, वैसे मॉडर्न थिएटर यहीं से शुरू हो जाता है, इब्सन जो हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे, और फिर मॉडर्न एरा आ जाता है. ठीक है, मॉडर्न पीरियड जो कि 1901 से 1945. इस टाइम पे भी ब्रिटिश वर रूलिंग ओवर अस. 1947 में वी बिकेम इंडिपेंडेंट, सो इस पूरे एरा में भी दे आर रूलिंग ओवर अस. ओके, स्ट्रीम ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस, अब्सर्ड मतलब अजीब. ओके, अब्सर्ड प्लेज, पोएटिक ड्रामा जैसे पोएट्री से बहुत सिमिलर होता है, और रेडियो ड्रामा. ओके, यहाँ पे जीबी शॉ ने यहाँ पे भी लिखा है, देखो जॉर्ज बर्नार्ड शॉ, उन्होंने यहाँ पे भी लिखा है. ओके, एंड पिग्मेलियम इज अ वेरी फेमस जो है ग्रीक प्ले भी है. इस पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. बेसिकली पिग्मेलियन ने क्या किया था, उसने स्टैचूज बनाए थे जो कि इतने सुंदर बने थे स्टैचूज की पिग्मेलियन फेल इन लव विद द स्टैचूज दैट ही क्रिएट. ओके, so let's say you make a drawing and you love it so much that you fall in love with your own drawing, something like that. Okay, then comes post-modern era. Okay, modern के बाद क्या आता है? Post-modern. All types of dramas, और kitchen sink drama was a very common one. What happens in a kitchen sink drama? आपके जो लिविंग रूम है नॉर्मल हाउस होल्ड घर का, उधर ही पूरा ड्रामा चलता है. सो कोई कपड़े प्रेस कर रहा होगा, कोई है ना अब न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहा होगा बैठ के, जैसे घर में हमारे घर में सीन होता है ना, वेरी सिमिलर टू दैट. सो दोज टाइप्स ऑफ ड्रामास आर कॉल्ड किचन सिंक ड्रामा. उसका बहुत ही अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है लुक बैक इन एंगर. लुक बैक में इन एंगर में इनफैक्ट ऑलमोस्ट थ्रू आउट द थिएटर ड्रामा some or the other person is ironing clothes. That's a constant thing that one character is doing. Okay, and then you have Waiting for Godot, which is also a very famous drama. ये एक बहुत ही अजीब प्ले है जिसमें ये एक गोदो नाम के इंसान का वेट करते हैं और वो कभी नहीं आता है वो इंसान. That person doesn't come and they keep sitting and waiting for that person. Okay, so this comes in the category of absurd play. बहुत ही अजीब है ना, किसी का वेट करो आ ही नहीं रहा. That comes in the category of absurd plays. Okay, all right. Now this particular aspect I have seen, sorry, that just keeps changing for me. Okay, now this particular aspect, isko main aapko revise karaungi. We will not read through this, but once we do this, we will finish history of drama in general. Okay, this is what's there in your book. right? So we're going to do these 5 aspects of drama, okay, about any play, and then we will finish this off, okay? Now, the table that I read through right now, it's a very important table, right? All I want you to do is for this topic, revise that table and understand what I'm teaching now. Okay. We've read through all the important things. There were a lot of new words there and a lot of interesting information. I wanted to read through that because your teachers would have ideally read through that in your classes. Okay. If history of drama is being taught. It's difficult, but that's the 11th standard English that we want to, that we want to know. We want to be at par with everybody who's studying with us in 11th standard, right? Most people who are studying in 11th standard ideally are able to understand that, right? So what I want you to do is, even though it feels difficult, go through it. एक बार फिर से उसको पढ़ के देखो, ऊपर से पढ़ के देखो. You might remember some of the things I've said. If you don't like that idea, you can go back and revise a chapter and read it with us when I'm reading it in the class. Okay, but try and revise it. See, you will be able to understand the level of difficulty that you want to understand. जो चीज आप समझना चाहोगे ना, मैंने देखा है जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स को मैंने पढ़ा है पिछले 2 साल में, when I teach something important or difficult, they are able to understand it, right? Like most of you, my 11th standard students, know pathetic fallacy, which is something that sometimes even master's level English students don't know. But you know it because you understood that concept. Okay, so you can understand it. Just pay a little bit of attention to it. Okay, right now, let's try and understand the basic essence of drama. Okay, most of us have understood ये हमको समझ में आ गया है पूरा. But we'll just go through this one more time because this is a very, very important aspect of it. Okay, so कोई भी play होता है ना, वो different acts में लिखा जाता है. Okay, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Okay. Act क्या होता है? Act is like a chapter in a book. Okay. कोई भी अगर आप बुक पढ़ते हो उसमें different chapters होते हैं, है ना? Similarly, किसी भी play में different acts होते हैं. एक act में एक type की चीज हो रही होगी या एक aspect of चीज हो रहा होगा, ठीक है? और act में क्या होता है? Act में different scenes होते हैं. सीन तो बस यही है कि सीन जिसे हम लोग हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, सीन क्या चल रहा है, basically what is happening, right? So scene actually means, what is the surrounding, what is the stage setting, that is my scene. Okay, let's say if in this scene I am supposed to be really cold, then the stage setting would be me shivering, or or maybe ice, snowfall ho raha hoga. Okay, so all of that is my scene. Then if the scene changes, then all of that will go away, something else will come. Okay, so one act can have a lot of scenes in it. So let's say I say, okay, Muskan start reading from Act 2, Scene 3. So Muskan will know where she has to open in her book. Usme upar clearly likha hoga. Okay, so that is how you'll be reading a play if somebody ever asks you to read it. All right, so that's what happens. Now, इस एक act में क्या जितने भी एक्ट्स मिला के जो हमारा प्ले होता है उसमें एक मेन चीज चल रही होती है जो हमारी स्टोरी होती है जिसकी वजह से सब कुछ हो रहा है. दैट इज माय प्लॉट. ओके, वी कॉल दैट द प्लॉट. Everything and anything that is happening in the play is happening because there is a plot. Okay, it's like the basic story. जैसे हम मूवी देख के आते हैं तो ऐसे अपने फ्रेंड्स को बता नहीं देते, हाँ तो गली बॉय में क्या होता है ना कि स्टार्टिंग में he is not able to follow his dreams and then he starts to follow his dreams and then he has some difficulty but in the end he wins the competition. That's the plot of Gully Boy. It's not a long plot if I sum it up like this, but that is what basically happens in that story. Okay, so that is what your play ka plot would be. Asal mein ho kya raha hai, that's my plot. Okay, now coming to the theme. Theme means आपके फोन में आपने कभी थीम चेंज किया है? डार्क मोड, डार्क थीम, लाइट थीम. The entire look of the phone changes, right? Instagram has themes. You can have a dark theme, you can have a light theme, right? And the entire look of Instagram changes if you change the theme. That's what a theme in a play is. Everything would look and sound and feel with accordance to the theme. If the theme is romance, then the fight will also be happening because of love, not because of anything else. So that's what themes are about. It dictates, it is basically जो सब चीज कैसा लगेगा in general, that is my theme. Okay, Now coming to the setting. As I told you, how it is supposed to look, because in a play is going to be performed in front of people. So the setting is very important. The table is supposed to be in that corner of the room. It can't be in the center, because then I don't have any place to stand in the center. So that is my setting. हर चीज कहाँ पे होगी, उसका क्या importance है, वो भी होगा play में आगे चल के. That becomes my setting. Okay. And then comes the language. Language is another very important part of any play. Language comes in the form of dialogue. There is a way that I talk to you. It's very different from how I talk to my dogs, let's say. Okay? Because my dogs, first, they don't understand. Second, and I have to, sometimes be loud. I have to yell at my dog for him to be able to understand something. Right? But I don't have to yell at Sneha for Sneha to be able to understand something. Sneha understands me perfectly fine if I talk like this. So that language is a part of that as well. The tone in which you speak and the words that you speak. In the play also, that's very important. Okay? The different kinds of plays will have different kinds of language and different usages of that language. Some of these plays, they have a lot of curse words also. Curse word or abuses is what we call galiyan in Hindi. Okay, so some of these plays, they have a lot of abuses as well. And that's the kind of language that that play has. There's that. Okay. And then we have the fifth part, which is the characters that I have in my play. Okay. Characters we were revising in the onset also. We revised all of this at the onset. Characters kya hote hain? The kind of role that someone or something is playing. Okay. Whatever role you are supposed to play, the kind of people that are there in my play, those are my characters. Let's say I have a very angry girl in my play. That's one of my characters. Now, that actor might not be angry, but she has to play the role of an angry girl, so she will get into character. ये सुना है आपने? Character में आ जाओ, चलो जल्दी जल्दी, और get into character, right? Act how you are supposed to, जैसा आपको act करना है उस play. Okay? These are the 5 things that are at the core. जो सबसे important part होता है हमारे plays का, वो इसमें बैठता है. Okay? So with this, we have basically understood the history of English drama. All right. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to read Shakespeare. Very difficult person. Okay. We are going to try and have a small skit of our own in today's class. Okay. छोटा सा play हम लोग खुद ही बनाते हैं. Okay. We have 15 minutes, so we can easily make one play. Okay. Let's first decide कि हमारा play किस बारे में होगा. What do you guys want to have a play about? कोई भी topic, anything is good. सोचो. Do we want it to be a comedy play or a tragedy? Comedy रखे, tragedy थोड़ा sad हो जाएगा ना. Comedy रखते हैं चलो. Okay. We're gonna have a comedy play. It can be about forgetting to unmute yourself on Zoom. Make sense? छोटा सा play about not being able to unmute yourself on Zoom. Make sense? Shanaz, you're on mute. Were you talking to us? Okay. All right. So I will have जितने भी लोग हैं हमारी class में, try to turn your camera on. Okay, for this play at least. I want to, if we see all of you guys, we'll be able to do the play much better. Plus, I really like seeing you guys. So there's that, right? So what we're going to do in this play is, we're going to have 3 classmates, okay? And one person who's the teacher. One person will become the teacher, okay? 3 classmates, 1 teacher. The classmates will keep sitting and laughing because the teacher has not unmuted herself and she started talking. Make sense? Okay, everybody will be in character. Okay, the teacher will not laugh. The teacher will keep talking seriously because she thinks she's teaching, and then she'll ask everyone, "Why are you guys laughing?" And then you will tell them, "Okay, somebody left." Then you will tell her that, "Oh my God, ma'am, you are on mute." Okay, so I want who's going to be my 3rd classmate and who wants to be the teacher? Tell me. Nobody wants to be the teacher. That's sad. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it will be. If you guys don't want to talk, I'll talk to you. सो बुशरा, आप थर्ड स्टूडेंट बनोगे हमारे. बुशरा, आपको आवाज आ रही है मेरी? बुशरा, कैन यू हियर मी? Okay. Sania Momin, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Can you turn on your camera for a couple of minutes?
Actually, I have a network issue. See, my net is over, so it's taking me out of the meeting.
Not an issue. So you can be like this only. But okay, you can do your facial expressions or you can give expressions on Zoom to be a part. Okay. Pranali, can you hear me? Pranali, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? Okay. I think both of them are not able to unmute right now. Fine. So out of Shahnaz and Sneha, who wants to be the teacher and who wants to be the student? It's coming down to you guys. And Muskan ka network chala gaya kya? I think Muskan's network is also gone out. Okay. Guys, we're going to do this. Okay. Shahnaz, I want you to... Sorry. Sneha, आपका network चला गया था. अभी बोलो, फिर से बोलो एक बार.
I want to be a student.
Okay, she wants to be the student. That leaves Shahnaz. So Sneha and I are students and Shahnaz is the teacher. Okay, who will be talking and we'll be laughing. Okay, all right. 3, 2, 1, action.
What are you to talk?
So you can just start. आप अपना म्यूट पे रखो अपने आप को और कुछ भी ऐसे सीरियस होके बात, जैसे मैं बात करती रहती हूँ ना आपसे. Start talking and saying something and Sneha and I will laugh and then you'll ask us why are we laughing. Okay?
This means I can't take this.
Sorry? You don't want to be the teacher?
No, this.
Okay, I'll be the teacher. Okay, both of you just have to laugh and then I'll ask you. Okay? Why are you guys laughing? What happened? Oh.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Yeah, exactly. Not very funny because when we do it like this, I'm supposed to be the teacher. But this is what will happen. What happens in a play. Okay, everyone has their own characters. Everyone has their own lines. Let's say this was a line that I told you to say, right? You were on mute. Very commonly happens to us. And this is very similar to what happens in our lives. It happens all the time. That I'll come on the call and I'll say something to you and I'll be on mute in all probability. Okay. So that is what plays look like. Now it's something more grand. For all those of you who were a part of Create, are any of the Create students here right now? Could be Create class wale bacche hain yahan pe? Okay, not right now. But later this year, let's say if Create again has batches, then Create class actually does perform plays. And I'm going to look at one of our performance days. I'm going to send that video to you guys on the group. Our Pehchaan Didis and Bhaiyas, okay? Let's say Akhilesh Bhaiya, Subhojit Bhaiya, these people have performed plays. Durgeshwari Didi, they have performed a play last year. They were full in character, very nicely dressed, smartly dressed, and they performed very well. So I'm going to send that to you. Watch that. That's a perfect play. That's what a play is. Okay? So that's what happens in a play. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be interesting. I know the chapter is very difficult. That's why sometimes boring. But they're supposed to be fun and interesting. Okay, so we're going to look at it like that. Now, the kind of questions that you get from this are fairly simple. बहुत complex questions नहीं आते हैं इस topic से आपके उसमें. But we have understood everything that was supposed to be understood from this chapter. Okay, so don't worry, you will not have any issues understanding this or any part of this if it comes for your exam. For those of you जिनके एग्जाम नहीं आने वाले, जिनके नहीं आने वाले, that is well and good. आपके एग्जाम में वैसे ही नहीं आ रहा. Okay, I'm just gonna put my laptop on charge. Okay, so we're done with this. All right. Now I quickly want you guys to tell me, ऐसा कोई भी chapter है जो हमने नहीं किया है जो आपके syllabus में है अभी?
The Rising of the Moon.
The Rising of the Moon plays there in your syllabus, Sanya.
Yes. And also Midsummer.
A Midsummer Night's Dream is also there in your syllabus.
Yes, Dean.
Okay, then we'll have to do both of those plays. But what we'll do is we'll keep them on Fridays instead of Thursday. Okay, Thursday ko we'll carry on with something that is common for most people, and Fridays ko we are these days trying to do things which are specifically there in some of your colleges, in which now I'm realizing is very different for all colleges. और कौन-कौन से poems या chapters है जो हमने नहीं किए जो आपके syllabus में है? Nothing as such for anybody else. I think in Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is not there today, but in Lakshmi's syllabus also they have the same problem, Sanya. They also have not problem, but their syllabus is slightly more extra to the rest of the colleges. So they also have Midsummer Night's Dream. So we're gonna read through that and we'll understand it. It's not that difficult. और कुछ तो ऐसा नहीं है ना आप लोगों के syllabus में? We've done everything.
Grammar, writing skill.
Grammar and writing skills. Writing skills ka we've covered some part. Grammar is what we are going to do from next Thursday onwards. Okay. We have a class tomorrow too. We have a class from 4 to 5. Okay. I'm covering a poem that is covered in Muskan's college. It's the eyes, nose one, right? The ear, eyes, and nose. I think that's the name of the poem. It's from your book itself, but most of you guys don't have it in your syllabus. So if you have the time, join for that. Anything and everything that we do here, guys, it's good for your English, okay? And I want you to participate in that. Some of you, I'm talking to the people who come, but the more you talk in class, the more you volunteer and read in class, it's helping with your English in general. I mean, it's helping with your college English, but your English in general too, right? So try and push yourself out of the comfort zone, okay? I've spoken a lot in today's class. When I teach grammar, no, I won't be talking. You guys will be the ones talking. Okay? All right. I am ending today's class. We will start with some topics of grammar. And for those of you who are coming tomorrow, I'll see you on Friday. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Didi. Thank you,
Bye,
Didi.
Didi.